Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Refilo Matikani. I'm the Public Relations Officer for the Pekwani Industry Association, which is the association that represents the operators, the cultivators, and all the companies involved in the cannabis industry in Lesotho. I'm also a director of one of the member companies in Lesotho, which is called Maluti Green, which is based in Butabuti. I've been asked just to give a short highlight on the performance of the industry so far, knowing that the first licenses were issued in 2017, and it's been now 4 years. The industry has been going on, and the question is, how have we been how have we been faring, and how have we been doing? How has the performance been of the industry? So far, with the statistics from the Ministry of Health, we have about 15 out of the 100 or so licenses that have been issued by the Ministry of Health. We have about 15 that can be deemed operational, and these are the members of the association. The association is there to really advance the medical cannabis industry of Lesotho in working together with the Ministry of Health. Now, out of the 15, 7 are now in full export mode. They are exporting, and about the rest are still in construction stage. There's still more than the 15. There's still more in construction. The real figure is we were still trying to figure it with the Ministry of Health on how many really are in construction and how many will be coming in the year 2022 and 2021. The Lesotho industry has made quite tremendous strides. We know that we have MG Health, which in 2021 was the first African cannabis company to be issued with an EU GMP certification, which is quite something to celebrate. MG Health is a pioneer in this industry and is one of the members of the association. We have the likes of Vev Dynamics, which owns one of the, if not one, the largest extraction plant in the Southern Hemisphere. So that is in Lesotho. So we really have an industry that is thriving, that is performing well. Of the 15, there's a few that are in line to obtain the EU GMP certification, that are in construction phase but are working with consultants and to get to a point where they will also, same as MG Health, obtain the EU GMP certification. With regards to offtakes, we see companies in Lesotho with offtakes in Australia, in Europe, like MG Health in Israel, and also in South Africa. South Africa, which is a good potential market that will be very good for Lesotho. So far, $200 million has been invested in more than $200 million has been invested in Lesotho by multinational companies in partnership with locals to in the cannabis industry of Lesotho. The main question to ask really is how do we get, the question we're asking ourselves as the association, and the role we also have to play is how do we get the ordinary Basotho to come into the industry and to be part of the industry. What we are seeing now is mostly it's dominated by foreign investment and multinational companies. But how do we get the growers, the cultivators, to be part of this exciting industry? Now, as the Pekwani Industry Association, it is part of our duty to structure and see to build structures and see how best do we bring the locals in. How do they partner with the big multinational companies to make sure that Basotho also become part of this company. An example I would give you, there's like I said, we have one of the largest extraction plants in the southern hemisphere by Vev Dynamics. I know Vev is buying from local cultivators, so it's empowering the local cultivators to say cultivate, and then we'll buy from you and extract what you have given us, and then send it to the international markets. Now, also this depends on the offtakes that the big companies have, and the locals then can then be taken under wing of this in this big offtakes. And how do we teach them, how do we train them to produce the right type of material that is accepted internationally? How do we certify them, even though they are only doing cultivation? How do you get them JCP standards certifications? How do we get their product to be, because most of them have been planting cannabis for many years and years and years and years, in generations and generations. But now this, you are dealing with medicinal stuff, medicinal cannabis. There's certification. There's a whole lot of barriers that and requirements that you have to meet. Yes, I'm saying we are looking at how do we get the local small companies, the cultivators, that have been given the licenses to cultivate to get into the mainstream of the industry. As the association, many in Lesotho, we've had a cry from many spheres of business on how do we get the Basotho. Let not this be just an industry that is dominated by foreign investment, though the foreign investment really is bringing a lot of jobs. That's an upside tax revenue, a lot of big jobs. Like I said, we are approaching now 20 companies that are built big facilities, $200 million invested, more than that invested in Lesotho, and going up quite rapidly. But the question is, how do we get the small cultivators to be involved? So we are working on such with as the association of the big operators, on how do we get the others, the Basotho, involved in such. Lesotho is a good place for medical cannabis because of its geographical placement. You have good sunshine, you have good clean air, you have water, abundance of water and arable land, clean water with good nutrients. So it's the industry is really growing. Even I think faster than we expected. We had thought COVID would sort of hinder the growth, but the construction everywhere you go around Lesotho, you see a cannabis facility coming up. And I'm not talking of small greenhouse facilities. I'm talking of big. You have the likes of We Grow building a huge facility in the outskirts of Lesotho in Berea. You have a lot of them coming up. You have the Israeli companies coming in. You have you have Halo and Bupilo in Mafeteng. There's lots of multinational companies that have come in. You have Supreme, it came in, Supreme Cannabis. You have Canopy, though it's sold to Highlands. You have Afria. You have multinationals that have really invested in Lesotho and that have shown confidence in the cannabis industry of Lesotho. And you also have, on the regulatory side, good the drugs of abuse regulations of 2019 that are very forward-looking, that had input from international consultants that have years and years of experience in the industry. So though the ministry is still on the verge of setting up the secretariat, that will control the industry. We are seeing strides and movements towards that. So also on the regulation side, there's movement, even though it's not as fast as we would want it to be, but it's happening. And the regulations are quite good. If you match them with international standards, they're quite good and progressive. And we are quite proud that the industry is so far performing well. We have a good relationship with the International Narcotics Control Board. We visited the the association visited 2 years ago before COVID. We visited them to sit down with them and understand what they require from Lesotho. And we came back as the association to say, okay, this is how do we then work with the Ministry of Health to make sure that we comply, the country complies with whatever the International Narcotics Board is looking for us to do. And as the operators, how do we then comply also with the standard that the International Narcotics Board is looking for as the operators? Yes, and winding up, we're having a look, the industry is growing. The performance is good. The companies are performing well. We are now in Europe, and there's more coming. More companies that will be EU GMP certified that are coming up. MG Health is there doing such as a splendid work. We are quite proud of the industry. The performance is good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, colleagues. That was Mr. Refilio Matekane from the Pekwani Association of Lesotho, which is a cannabis association in Lesotho. Are there any questions?
So I just wanted to find out, Mamelo, about contract farming, because I think it's a fantastic model. But then do these contract farmers get licensed, or how does it work? Are they being licensed separately, or this buyer who is licensed can then use their licenses to almost sub-license the smallholder farmers?
Thank you, Prof. There's two aspects. Contract farming that is being done by Highlands is Highlands. They hold the license, but they cultivate for their clients under their license. But there's also a scenario where you have the Ministry of Health issues what they call cultivator licenses for the small operators. It's just for cultivation. You cultivate and you would sell to sell forward if you have buyers internationally, but also you would sell to the big operators that are already in Lesotho, the big extraction companies like Rev Dynamics, which are in Lesotho. The cost of the license, the cultivator license, is less than the cost of the operator, much less, about half of the cost. And this was done by the Ministry of Health so that in order to accommodate Basotho who cannot afford the exorbitant fees for the operator licenses. But I've been learning of what Highlands is doing, contract farming. They get under their licenses, under their land, which is vast. They then get a client and they cultivate and produce for them and give them the product. Thank you.
Thank you. There are chats that are also coming through as you're speaking. My question, I've noted a hand from Professor Norman Nyazima. Prof, I've noted your hand. If you can allow me to maybe just read some few chats that came through. One is the speaker talks about the industry in terms of investment. Can he elaborate on export and the numbers they forecast?
Yes, I think Marcelo would be the best on the, because this is also a very secretive industry. We don't get the export numbers of most of the operators. I'm also one of the operators, but the Ministry of Health is the one that can really give us exactly on monthly statistics of exports, how we are performing. But the information is that there's 7 companies that are currently exporting both flour and extracted material. I know we also exporting. Vev Dynamics is doing isolates, distillates, and also MG Health. They have their representative here. They can also come in and give us the information.
Okay, so Trish has a question.
Yes, some of us in the past have discussed this, so I'm sorry if I'm repeating, but I'm really curious. Africa, I speak from the US, and Africa has so much potential on providing unique varieties of seeds and plants. And I'm wondering if you've been able to identify any of those and where your seed sources are coming from, because you know, we have quite a bit of business here, and I thought maybe it would be a unique niche for the folks in Lesotho, and especially anywhere in Africa, to create some opportunities with various compounds that would be unique and maybe offer some new medical insight into cannabis.
Thank you very much. That is indeed so. There's a lot of research and tests that have been done on the African strains, and some companies get their seeds from overseas, but some are testing the local strains, and a lot of research has been done. I know of the ICCI, the International Cannabis and Cannabis Institute. They've taken a few of the strains in Lesotho to test them in Europe and see you know, how best good can be derived from the strains. So indeed, the company I am a director in Maluti Green, we have hybrids of African strains. So something it's giving out very, very good results.
Thank you. And I also suggest that maybe there can be some kind of germplasm repository that you initiate. So I'm just hoping that happens.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.